Hello everyone, welcome back to the workshop. So in this video, I am going to be continuing on. This will be part 2 of forging this rivet bucking bar, or a rivet bick, or whatever you want to call it there. Basically, we forged this. I'll put a link to that video down in the description down below, and up here in a card just right then, where I took and made this rivet bucking bar and did all the forging. Now I made this out of what I believe is about a 1084, about a 1080 to 1084 steel. It might even be lower on that on 1075. It basically spark tests a lot like a 1075 to 1080 steel. So that's what I'm going to go with. I do know that it's a higher carbon steel, and through a little test piece I know that it hardens nicely in water, so I'm going to take and harden it in water. If you feel more comfortable trying to harden something mystery steel in oil first, that might be a good test, but I'm pretty confident that I can do this in water, so that's what we're going to do now. All I've done to prep this is basically as forged. The only thing that I've done is I've radiused off the top edges of this just ever so slightly, and the reason for that being is you don't want to have any sharp edges here. You want the edges to fall away ever so slightly, so the center portion will push up against a scroll that you may be putting on here. I will show you that here a little bit later, how that looks and how that gets set up. So let's get this in the fire. We're going to bring it up to critical temperature. The other thing I'm going to mention here, the only portion that we're bringing up to critical temperature is the part that we're going to be striking. I've already normalized this piece, or let it cool down very, very slowly, and by the fireside in some ashes. And all we're going to take and be doing now is, so that makes this portion of it, the part that goes through the hardy hole, very soft and malleable. Not really, I mean, it's a high carbon steel, so it's pretty tough right now at this state, and so that's fine for that portion. But now we want to increase the wear resistance and the toughness to the actual portion of it that we'll be hammering stuff into. So I'm going to do what is considered a one-step hardening process. That means I am going to harden the tip of the piece. I'm going to harden the end that I need to take and get hard, but I'm going to leave some heat back here to start tempering the piece. And so it'll go very quickly this way. I'll be able to grab this out, I'll be able to harden that piece, take a file, check it to make sure it's hard, and then polish off the scale and watch the temper colors run back up to the piece. And I hope that this will come through okay. So I'm going to switch camera angles here. I'm going to switch some camera angles here so you guys can be in a lot closer, so you can see those colors kind of happen as they go and they transpire, and hopefully you guys will enjoy that. So I will be right back with you here in just a second. Okie doke, just a couple moments has passed. This piece is now up to a critical temp. So I'm going to go ahead and quench the bit that I need to be hard in the water. Since it's thicker, it takes a lot more time. Then I'm going to, yep, it's good and hard, so I'm going to go ahead and work off the finish here. Hopefully you all can see this really good. So it's already starting to want to temper just a little bit, but it's moving a little too fast, so we want to cool off that transition line a little bit more. This piece has enough heat to really push that line up through there. I don't know if you guys see that, but let me brush this down real quick. Okay. So what we're hoping for is to get this whole thing up into a bronze-like color, this whole surface here. Hopefully you guys are being able to see this in camera. right about here, we'll keep rotating it towards you. Right about here, there's some purples, and then there's some blues, and then it goes back to gunmetal. And right in here, there's this brass color that's starting to show up, and there's a little white tinge of that all the way up through here right now. So we're gonna let that continue to bake in and let that heat just come up to where it's supposed to be. Also, I have found that when you're doing this, when you're trying to temper a piece, if you hold it just straight up like this, it's going to have a tendency to run your colors faster. But if you hold this on a piece of steel like this, what's going to happen is the steel is going to act as a heat sink. Wherever that piece of steel is in contact, it'll act as a heat sink. So try not to lay it on too much onto your anvil or things like that, because it will draw the heat the opposite way and out of the piece. And we want those temper colors to run. So I'm starting to get a really nice bronze across the top here. It's starting to get a really nice bronze all the way across. That's what we're wanting. We're wanting to bring that heat up nice and slow. I'm probably going to go for something along the lines of like a deep bronze, almost a deep brown color. You might be able to be seeing it there. I'm going to go for that, and then I'm going to take and cool the piece off, okay? Because we don't need this piece soft, and we don't need it really hard either. So you could go as far as like a purple color would be perfectly fine on this tool. Again, this is more for abrasion resistance than it is to take and stop it from any sort of impact. We're not going to be directly hammering on this. This isn't going to be engaging steel to cut anything. This is literally just to take, I'll turn that up on end to get some more of that heat up into it. This is literally just to take and hold the head of a rivet while you rivet down from the top side. And I will be showing you how we'll do that here in just a second. So turn that back down. Yeah, we're starting to get some of those good colors up through there. Hopefully you guys can see that. We're starting to get those turquoise blues back in here. We're getting a tin of purple up in here. That's fine. And the colors are really starting to go now towards the tip. And that's what we want. So it can be purplish back in here, but we want it to be a darker bronze up in towards the tip. That'll give it a little bit of springiness and a little bit of rigidity. Now I'll talk a little bit about 10 series steels, or medium carbon steels, if you will. Anything that's usually with a 10 before it, for the most part. If that's a 1045, a 1095, a 1075 steel, 1060, all the 10 series steels for the most part are water hardening steels. They are all quenching and water type steels. So they won't get to full hardness if you take and quench them in oil. However, like with 1095, that can go either way. It's technically a water hardening steel, but you can quench it in oil and it will still get very, very tough if you quench it in oil versus water. So again, you've got some options there. I like to call oil a safety quench method. That's for people who are unsure of either the steel they're working with or their abilities in doing the heat treat. If you don't think that you've hit your critical temperature dead on or things like that, or maybe you might have a bit more, how do we want to say, larger grain growth in the piece than what you need, you might want to go ahead and quench in oil. Of course, there's some other issues there, but we can have a big, long discussion. And that's one way to pick a fight on YouTube, is to talk about heat treating. That's for sure. So, anyways, so that is basically what I'm looking for. I've got that nice dark bronze color up towards the tip. I've got that purplish to peacock blue back here towards the larger portion. And so that's a really nice differential heat treated piece. So now I'll cool that back off. Let that get nice and cool, and I'll show you how it works. So I'm cooling this down in a quench bucket. This is unheated water, by the way. This water is just out in my shop. It's been about 22 degrees today. So, but I do have a heater in the water, so it's not frozen. It's a stock tank heater, so that does affect it. The water's probably 40 degrees maybe, somewhere in there. But anyways, there you go. That thing is completed. It's been heated. It's been properly heat treated now. Now, a lot of times I like to give my pieces a rest period, so this way they can finish, you know, just drying off and let a little extra heat into it. You know, I don't quench this in completely. I let the internal heat just kind of work itself out before I use them. But for demonstration purposes, I want to show you how this thing gets used. So I'm going to flip this around towards the camera side of things so you guys can see. I'm going to check my focus, and I will be right back with you. So here we are. We've got this piece turned towards you so you can see. Again, we're going to be using this portion right here. This is for 1/4-inch rivets, the size head that I'm using. And I've mocked up a little demonstration piece right here, so this way you know what I'm talking about. These pieces have been prepped or hole drilled after the fact of them being made. And now you can say, okay, well, how am I going to fit that somewhere? My horn's too big, can't get it on there. How do I get this riveted and get it to this other section piece here, get this riveted on? Now this might be the top of a gate section or something like that, or a sign bracket that this needs to actually rivet up to, and you can see that that could create a problem. Well, what we do is we go ahead and use just a little 1/4-inch rivet. We slip it through the bottom of the hole on the smaller side there. Then this is prepped here, so now we can slip that and put it on our stake. That way it can make it through the scroll so it holds it properly. Down goes the top scroll right on top of there, and then we just peen it down. Now ideally, this piece would be heated up. For this part, you would heat the rivet that's going down on top. Would be the ideal situation. But we're going to cold work this just because it's easier to do so. So you guys can see how that works. Again, it's working down the piece. It's not fully set yet. We could take and put it in the fire, heat it up, and bring it out. And you guys will see that. So let's do that. Let's do that right now. I'm going to heat this piece up. Usually you'd work with a torch or something like that. You would just heat it up and then use a rivet set on top to drive the rivet down to pair it up with this. And that would work very, very, very well. But I don't have that stuff out with me right now, so we're just going to do this spur of the moment and see what we can get done. The hardest part is if you're going to heat it up in the fire like this, is to make sure you don't do a whole bunch of unbending and weirdness with your scroll. Again, you can see the value of having the edges slightly falling away now, and so this way it matches that curvature of that scroll. Also, you might be asking yourself, what do you do to drill that hole in that curve? Obviously, you can't clamp it very nicely, or on large pieces, you can't even fit it in the vise on the drill press. And the easy answer to that is just make you another one of these out of mild steel with a little bit of a long bar to it. And you can clamp this then and go over something, or just have a piece of flat stock that's made for that purpose so you can slip in between the two and drill them. Okay, this piece is getting fairly hot. Give me 1 second. This might turn out completely horrible. As I said, it's not usually the thing to do, is to heat the whole piece up. Again, because of the ribbon on the scroll, especially on this side of a scroll, it's pretty lightweight. Let me try to hold this ever so gingerly. Without wrecking my scroll up here. Anyways, so there you go. That's all riveted up now. Let's put it back over there. Rivet that thing down. It's a little harder than it looks when you're working with the small little thin stuff, but it's definitely worth the result if you can do it. And we'll just clean that on up. And there you have it. There's a riveted scroll like that. And now you can see the value of making that little bic there. So I needed this for some upcoming projects and some demonstrations I plan on doing. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. If you did, go ahead and hit that like button and tell me what you thought of it in the comment section down below. I always greatly appreciate hearing from you. It's always fun to take and teach these type of traditional methods of blacksmithing. And it's something I strive for and that I will be striving for more of here in 2019 going into 2020. So be sure to be subscribing to the channel if you like this type of ironwork and you'd like to see more of it. So that's it for today. Thank you all so much for watching. If you haven't seen the video of me making this, you may want to go check that out. Again, the link for that will be in the description down below. As always, God bless you, and we will catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching.